It's an amazing statement in Philippians chapter 2, verses 12 and 13, where Paul writes, "So then, my beloved, just as you have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your salvation with fear and trembling." Work out your salvation. This is said in the context of Paul telling the Philippian brethren, I want you to be obedient. Working out your salvation is about obedience, but we mustn't misunderstand what this means to work out your salvation. We must never think that this means that I need to work hard enough. I need to do enough good things in order to obtain my salvation. It's not that at all. I need to work hard enough. I need to do enough. I need to study enough. I need to know enough. And then maybe I can earn my salvation. That is a heresy. That is dangerous thinking, and it's very human thinking. I think we all struggle with that because we have this mindset as human beings that we want to earn our way. So, what does it mean to work out your salvation? God has given us salvation in Christ Jesus. If you're in Christ, if you've been baptized into Jesus, having come to him in faith, you have salvation. And now he's saying, I want you to work it out. I want you to live it out. I want you to, you might say, I want you to do your salvation. I want you to carry it out in your daily life. I want you to be obedient to the Lord. And he says, I want you to do it with fear and trembling. Why fear and trembling? We're not talking about fear of punishment. In other words, I'm terrified of being punished by God. That's not the kind of fear that we should have as Christians unless we're practicing and living in unrepentant sin. But work it out with fear and trembling, with awe, with respect, with just a recognition of who God is and his power. He says in verse 13, he gives us the reason why we need to work out our salvation with fear and trembling. For it is God who is at work in you. God is at work in you. Think about the enormity of that statement. Should that cause us some fear and some trembling? To understand that the God who spoke the universe into existence is at work in me. The God who hangs the earth on nothing is at work in me. The God who raises the dead, the God who touches the mountains and they smoke, is at work in me. The God who exalted Jesus Christ and raised him and gave him the name that is above every name, he's at work in me. And that should cause some fear and trembling. And that should cause us then to say, I want to live for him. I want to carry out my salvation. I want to work out my salvation. For it is God who is at work in you, both to will and to work for his good pleasure. God is doing two things in us as he works in us. He's giving us the will or the desire to work out our salvation, and he's working in us to give us the power to work out our salvation. And we'll look at those two things in a coming lesson. But I hope this has been helpful for you, and I hope that we will realize we need to be working out our salvation. He's given us salvation. Now let's carry it out. Let's live it out, because God is at work in us. Thank you. We'll see you next time.